Okay, good morning, sisters and brothers. This isn't the continuation on Sinai, I don't think anyway, unless we just roll right into it. I was actually, thinking about my own personal dreams and visions that I've had over the years and, wondering about the validity of them, for myself. So this is also addressed for those out there who have also thought about their own personal validity um, concerning their dreams or their visions that they've had, and what does the Bible have to say on it? And the way I ended up in this topic was because I was actually looking at the watchers and the decrees of the Holy One. And I've come to the understanding that I truly believe the Holy One is the watcher that is awakened in the earth, or holy ones. All right. And once they awaken to that truth, then the decree does get made, right? A new decree concerning the state of the earth, the women in the earth, the men in the earth. A new decree gets made based on the Holy One's awakening, because watcher means to be a wakeful one, right? And so we get the connection to that, of course, in Romans 11, where we did a very important study years ago on those that had gone to sleep in the Spirit. Now you got my Bible in front of me. So, sorry, I'm clicking my pen again. And I'm in a different location just because I didn't feel like clearing my desk off. It's just what I have to do. This was much easier to do here. But in Romans 11, let me see which is the tab here I have. We'll go here. Okay, so Romans 11 is why wakeful and sleep becomes important terms in the Bible, because it also takes us to the verse. I think it's in Psalm 78 or Psalm 77 about the warrior, the Lord that awakens as if she's been drunk on wine, right? She shall awaken from sleep like a warrior that's been drunk on wine. The Lord there is 136. That's daughter Zion's number. We know that to be true because she's the dove that's been burned to an ash heap. As an Ariel, an altar hearth. Isaiah 29:4. We've looked at that verse. We get two references to Ariel as the lioness of God, and then Ariel burned to ashes as an ash heap. Also called an Ariel, the altar hearth there. So it's interesting because we looked at that years ago. And so anyway, we get her going to sleep is the understanding we get here. And we had studied this. Now you see, I'm not even looking at visions and dreams right now. So I'm just going to go wherever the Spirit leads me to. And this will probably be a between video before we get into more study on Psalm 68, because I am looking at Bashan again in Psalm 68 and trying to make a few connections there, and trying to go back and watch the video and pick up what I had promised we would look at. Now, we may not look at everything because I can't remember how I got to some of them, which was something I had said in the video. Anyway, okay. So what does it say in Romans 11 concerning the election, who are elected by grace? All right. Now, we're elected because, and we are elected by grace, not through blood, but because the Holy Spirit chooses to place herself upon us and awaken us from sleep. Now, that's what's to be understood in the scriptures with the term, the Lord, 136, daughter Zion's number, that it will awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on wine. Yeah, we know what wine is. It's the admixture of lies. It's also the Red Sea that needs to be parted by the presence of God, called the angels in the Old Testament, or the presence of God, the angel of God's presence on earth, also called God that was denied in the beginning. Now, let me see. So we'll start reading in verse 7 of Romans 11, right quick. What then? Israel has not obtained that which she seeketh, for it's not he. Israel's the feminine aspect that was denied. But the election, the one the Spirit chooses to come upon, she has elected us through her Spirit, have obtained it. We have obtained what? the truth. That's what we've actually been seeking for. And through that truth becomes the deliverance of our children, because we've studied this. And what it led us to was children, the deliverance of children. I believe it was the word obtained. I might have that wrong. It's been so long since we've looked at this passage. But the election had obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So we know that those elected to obtain it are going to obtain it. So you're elected if you're obtaining this truth, right? Election here is feminine. The elected is feminine here. It's a feminine noun, I believe. And what does it say in verse 8? We're getting back to awake or to sleep. According as it is written, God had given them the spirit of slumber. Our spirit has been asleep within us. I've also been looking at other terms like spirit babies, because there's a spirit upon us, and we are being birthed through the spirit. And I think it has to do, yes, with this term fallen angels. We fell. When we fell, we went to sleep in the spirit, and yet we seem to be these spirits that are being rebirthed, reborn. It takes water to be birthed, and that's through the mother. You can be birthed no other way. You're not going to be birthed without water. It's her water that absolutely has to birth us. Without water, there's no birth. To move from one realm to another, from one location in the womb to another location, as in the birthing process, requires the mother's water and her blood in order to do that. Yeah. Without her, you're not going to be birthed. Sorry, folks, you got the story quite screwed up. So what then? Israel has not obtained that what she seeketh for, which is the deliverance of her children. But the election, those who have been elected through the rebirth of their spirit, her spirit within us, have obtained it. And the rest were blinded. They're going to be blinded because they choose to keep their eyes closed. They choose to keep their ears shut. Stronghold means that they're using an argument. In this case, it's a religious lie of a man, God delivering his children through his travail on the cross. That's blood. You cannot be delivered and rebirthed without the mother's blood and water. You cannot. So the rest were blinded. So the argument, the stronghold, which is here, this area is identified on the Shulamite, her neck, is called the stronghold. So that's a reference to your argument. And so it means that we're going to actually fall back to the daughter of Zion's argument, right? Which is the truth. All right. And God promises to make our foreheads, our knowledge, as hard as flint, because they have made their foreheads like flint. And she says, I will also make yours hard as flint and diamond. So she means that she's going to make us solid in what it is we know and understand, and that's through the truth. So according as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see and ears that they should not hear until this day. So, but that's the election in view. It is not those that were blinded. It's those that continue to be blinded to the truth. The election was blinded, but then she has given us no longer the spirit of slumber, because the Lord will awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on wine, an admixture of lies. So there's a twofold understanding in this, right? Unto this day. And David didn't say this. Wisdom said it in Proverbs 8 or 9. And David says, let their table be made a snare and a trap. No, it was wisdom who actually set the table. I could not understand why she had set the table with wine. Now I do. I understand why she set the table with wine. She was testing the males. All right. And she says, those that will understand my truth will come to it. First is the testing of us daughters who awaken out of sleep. We're able to part the admixture of lies, which is the wine on the table, into the covenants that they're shown being, right? She says, you divided my pleasant land. Well, one becomes a harlot spirit, and the other becomes the outcast, the righteous spirit that you were to be hearkening to her law. A man denied her law and put in play an idol man, God, as himself, writing laws over her so he could take possession of her womb. We discussed this in the last video, so he could call the children his hosts, right? He can do with them what he wants because he's writing the law to dictate it to him. And she, as the harlot spirit now in the land, bows to that idol as well and hands over her host to that lie. So we understood this. So, and wisdom says, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see and bow down their back always. Well, that's the always is for the ones who refuse to understand the truth, correct? But we do get slumber here, all right? And that took us, right, to the Old Testament. A reference in the Old Testament comes right up in the word, I believe here, slumber or stupor. At least I think it does. So we'll okay, stupor, I think was the word. Hopefully it is the word. So stupefaction, it's a noun feminine. You're stupid. You've gone to sleep in the spirit, girls. Bowing to a male idol. Properly a violent strike and prick. He did. He struck her heel. And he struck her with poison. What? Has Israel, she stumbled that she should fall? No. No. No, no. Why was she permitted to stumble and fall? It tells us in further follow-up in Romans 11, she was permitted to stumble so that we might pull in the Gentiles into the truth, right? I'll go back out in a minute. So properly a violent strike, a prick. The bewilderment which comes after being struck, like falling into a mental stupor. And she was struck by him on the heel and poisoned by a religious lie. And she did fall for a time, but she gets back up. So it took us to deep sleep is somewhat loosely so rendered wine, which produces dizziness and a reeling. A prickling sensation as of the limbs asleep. Well, it sounds like she's been poisoned and can't move. By implication, perhaps by some confusion with new or even with nuts. I'm not going to bother looking them up because we don't have the time. Stupor, lethargy, slumber. We also get in Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 15 and 16, that he put strong drink to her lips and basically put her to sleep and made her his harlot. Oh, man. I do wish I had brought my Bible now. But we get the reference here, a spirit of stupor, insensibility or torpor of mind, severe sorrow, extreme grief. She goes into deep mourning. We bring in the Shulamite on that. Such as extreme grief easily produces a spirit of stupor, which renders their souls torpid. So, i.e., is insensible, that they are not affected at all by the offer made them of salvation through the Messiah? No. Yeah, it's true, but they have it all in reverse. So they'll say the true Messiah is Jesus, right? No, that's them asleep. They are rejecting the truth from the true Messiah, which is the anointed one. Messiah simply is another term for Christos, which is the anointed one, which was told us in the Old Testament. It was the daughters inside the nation of Israel, that it was their law that man had agreed to hearken to and uphold, and he denied it. And he stabs her, he pricks her, right? He poisons her. We see allegorical to the harlot spirits of Balaam and Balak sent into the camp of Israel, yeah, to strike who? The men, and to poison them with a religious lie that they have the right to write the laws. We've studied this multiple times. And deny their own scepter, which was allegorized as what Moses was told to make, which was a serpent around the pole. That was their true scepter, the wise women inside the nation of Israel. So they became poisoned by the religious lie. And then, of course, the women also becomes cast out amongst the Gentile nations. So it says, what if the casting away of them be the Oh, I'll go in a minute. We'll look at it in a minute. But we also get some other references here. Isaiah 29:10, and we also get Psalm 59:5. Now, I didn't think that was the reference I was looking for, but it probably is. So let's go here. Parallel. Am I doing that? So it says, you, Lord God Almighty, you who are the God of Israel, rouse yourself to punish all the nations and show no mercy to the traitors. So we do so get a reference to the God here that must awaken out of sleep, rouse. So again, when you go to watchers, when you look up watchers, it's going to be those who are wakeful, who wake up to the truth. You are called God on this earth, the presence of God on this earth. And when we hit, it's not there, it's a cross-reference. Then we completely understand who's in view in that verse. And we'll pull it up again. I'm getting so many tabs up now. Psalm. The Lord will awaken like a warrior that has been drunk on wine. You know, if you haven't been here, you won't get it. But if you've been here, then you're getting who the Lord was on this earth, referred to as God in the presence. The angel of presence was God, and the law off of her tongue was what was to rule. And man rejected her and stabbed her, poisoned her heel so that she would stumble. Israel would stumble. Then the Lord awoke as from sleep, as a warrior wakes from the stupor of wine. He put strong drink to her lip. He got built up on power. He got drunk on power, his own man-made power. And she says, you didn't see my footsteps. That's the Red Sea allegory as a mixture of lies and wine in the cup. They polluted her waters. She says, when I went through, that's the presence of God, identifying actually the birthing canal when she goes through to deliver her children through this admixture of lies. And she says, after I went through, she says, then this admixture comes over and covers my pathway and you didn't even see me, right? And it's the Lord speaking there. When she says that in a verse, I forget where the verse is. But here we get the Lord rose up, as though waking from sleep. So here we're going to bring this in now, okay? We're just going to quickly look at this again. Awoke, okay? Awoke, 3364, Strong's Hebrew. And I've got so many tabs up. To awake. You're to awaken. So we're always looking at the women, feminine, always being asleep after they got pricked or struck on her heel. The women inside the nation of Israel got struck, poisoned, went to sleep with a religious lie. What, has Israel stumbled that she should fall? No, she has not. She does so awaken, and she does so give the decrees that is necessary to right the kingdom. That's what we're promised. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack here. Go to this. I guess I didn't need to. I had a whole new tab up there. So I need to go back here. Yeah. So you, Lord God of hosts, are the God of Israel. Awake. You get it, women? You are the one that is the God of Israel. You are the Lord God of hosts, of the children whose law they were to be hearkening to and whom man stabbed in the back. They were as the dog circling her, gnashing upon the doe of the dawn. They were as the bulls of Bashan, a man in times of trouble, an unfaithful man in times of trouble is like broken teeth or a foot out of joint. She stumbled, because he was unfaithful to her there. Adam built himself up with thick clay under a law. It says, the covenant will be disannulled. in Isaiah, is it Isaiah 28? They said, we have hid ourselves under a refuge of lie. And with the womb of Sheol are we at agreement. And when the overflowing scourge comes in, they can't catch us. They're counting on you being asleep. They're counting on you accepting this religious lie that man has built up. Daniel 2. Every successive kingdom built upon this religious lie of man is God. I don't know how the women can't see it, but they choose to sleep. There's an election according to Mother's grace to forgive us. She also realized that we were young, and these were well-needed lessons for young rulers to understand. She says, I'm going to let you go under his law. I'm going to let you build him up. And you're going to be, You will be stunned, in other words, by what he will do to you under the law. You will stagger at what he is willing to do to you when you build him up with thick clay. You help him right along, Jezebel. Those are all part and parcel of the context that we're supposed to understand. She says, though, if he does not turn, she will whet her sword, her word. She has bent her bow and she has made it ready. So in Psalm 7, we actually saw her unstringing her covenant, the daughter's covenant. But then there comes a time when she has given him enough time to turn back to the truth, and he does not, that she anoints these daughters to then repick their swords back up, their words back up, sharpen them, and to actually restring their bow, is all there in Psalm 7, and to gather their arrows, which is the children, actually allegorized. Greatly blessed are you when you have your quiver full of arrows. And the idea is with children that are hearkening to your words is your idea, right? So anyway, have no mercy on any treacherous evil doer. You, O Lord God, the invincible warrior. So God, Lord, is like a warrior that went to sleep on wine, an admixture of lies. Rouse yourself and punish all the nations. Have no mercy on any treacherous evildoer. So is she going to use Jacob to do that with? To punish all the nations, because he's the one that is promised to be saved out of this. So he, in my opinion, so far, must be the actual one that turns back to her. He's got to be the one that turns back to her. So we get the stupor, the sleep in Romans 11:8. We'll keep going out here. Maybe to the full chapter. So what does she say? She says in verse 11, I say then, have they, the women of Israel, my anointed daughters, stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, through us succumbing to this religious life, salvation has come to the Gentiles. So now we're bringing in the Gentiles. But we also understand that the only representation of an Israelite was the birth through the women, not the men. So if the scepter of Jacob was cast out into the lands of the Gentiles, and there they have been asleep in these religious lies, which are multiple nations, right? That these daughters who are going to wake to the truth, which is the actual scepter and possibly crown of Jacob, they're under asleep in this lie. But when they awaken as Israel, because that's who she's identified as, all the children that she has birthed out here are then also considered Israelites, right? You understand how it works. So then that factors in the verse in Isaiah. Where is it? I can never remember it. I don't think it's Isaiah 27. It's somewhere there. 34, 27. It's one of those in through there. It says, Israel shall fill the world with her seed. And she has. That was the promise in Isaiah 49. You will be a light, not only to the Israelites, unto the Gentiles as well. So she fills the world with her seed, actually. So then the question then becomes, does she also pull out all of her children, at least some of them to some degree, because we're shown them going back to her land in Zephaniah 3. Yeah. And she's got in some of these passages, and I think there's 5 that mentions the women returning back. They have their children with them, both male and female. So it's those who chooses to come out of the religious lies of the globe, of the world. And it says she will fill the world with her seed. Now they want to stick he. The seed comes through the woman. That's why it's called the woman's seed. Because they're choosing now their rule through her. Finally, their scepter and their crown is identified as the daughters inside the nation of Israel. So I say then, had they stumbled that they should fall? No. No, he struck her heel, but she gets up. God forbid, but rather through their fall salvation has come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. See, now there we got it. They used to teach us totally wrong. I'm just getting it now. They used to teach that scepter, whether they knew that that's actually what's in view here or not, they didn't. They had no idea that that was what was in view, the scepter and the female. They still don't. Many are refusing. They're hard-hearted. Their pride in their area, the pride of Satan, the pride of Adam, the pride of man. That's what that's all about. Worship of himself and worship of his law. And he's going to write it, tell you what you can do with your womb, woman, your host. You told the potter she had no power over her own children, her own hosts, and her own creation. And yet without her, you have nothing. You have no host. You have no children. So I used to hear that it was to make the Jews jealous, or the Israelites jealous, or Jacob jealous, right? Now I'm seeing that the scepter that returns back, return, O Shulamite. What might we see when the Shulamite returns? As it were, the company of 2 armies. That's 144,000 first fruits. We've identified that. They are female. They are called the lilies of the covenant. That's one term that they go by. They're also the she-goat, allegorized as a she-goat in the Genesis 15:9 covenant. Because Jacob then pulls up his scepter and his crown, and he recognizes that that's how he is to rule. So who is being made jealous if it is not the Christians? Is come unto but rather through their false salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. So I think it's going to make the Gentiles jealous. It says so as to make Israel jealous. Jacob, to make Jacob jealous. Now that's how I always heard it, and may well be, but he's the one in battle for her, really. I mean, even when you get looking at what's going on over here, when they're trying to put in play that man has say over a woman's womb and totally disregard her, you're going to end up with the bloody messes that you've got, because she's the one that was to rule her own womb and what come out of it and the children, not him. When you've got him telling her what she can do, guess what? You're going to have the bloody messes we got right now, such as abortion. When woman's in charge of her own womb, I can tell you, you're not going to have this mess with abortion going on. It's him that created it. And you ain't woke up to that. And you going along with it has created it. You have no right and no authority over her womb. You never did. You told the potter and the creator she had no power over her own children that comes out of her womb. And so when the women finally realize that, they get off this idea of abortion is wrong, abortion is wrong, abortion is bad, abortion is wicked. Abortion came into effect when he took control of your bloody womb. You get it? You get it? That's what happened. You're under a religious lie and law, and he took possession of your womb by throwing at you abortion is wrong, and you're so dumb that you can't go in and reason out what's really going on here with this law. And it's about possession of your hosts to turn them against you and keep them down on their knees to a male idol, worshiping it, which is always going to lead to abortion, girls. Wake up. He exalted a harlot in his heart. When you turn away from your own law and your own rights, you hand it over to him and he creates what he wants, a harlot bowed at his feet, which is gonna bring up abortion, and how wrong it is and how sanctimonious the Christian wants to get about it. That's what I hear. So that's what all this is about. All of it's about the same thing. Taking possession of her womb because he can't control his dick and it gives him his own hosts. And you hand him right over your own children. So now if the fall of them be the richest of the world and the diminishing of them the richest of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? Which are my flesh and might save some of them. No, because we've recognized you were to have no idol, neither male nor female before you. So here, of course, all of the New Testament we identified as the feet of the idol standing in Daniel 2, which is Jesus, which is Baal, the king of Babylon. That's what that is. Now, you can also sub in there, I guess in various parts of the world, you can sub in Allah. Excuse me. Sorry. You can sub in Yahweh even. Right? But there's a truth here that was hid. And the truth is that she is the presence of God on earth, or the angel representation, as she's called, the angel of presence, of God's presence, called God. She was also the one sitting between the cherubim. Now, we also identified the cherubims as being images that King Solomon made in his temple, and he made them in the image of bull gods, of bulls. So those may well also be idolatry. We also see in the picture that I've often shown doves to one side, each side, and one's a male dove, one's a female dove. That's just on either side of this, the Ark of the Covenant, which is where she would have sat as the glory. Yeah. Which, so we studied that. We studied how King Solomon, the reason why Jeroboam made the images of two calves, and he says, these are the gods that brought you up out of the land of Egypt. No, they weren't. That was a complete lie. We've studied it all. And he put one up in Dan, and he put the other one up in Ephraim. And he says, there, now you ain't got to go up to Judah and worship the God up there. Because he was so fearful that they would then return back to the king of Judah and turn from him. And he didn't want to risk that. So he made them their images of their God. So when we got into that study, we realized that these images was what was sitting on either side of the Ark of the Covenant that Solomon had made. So you were to make no images. And then it says, but these were the representation of the God of heaven, these bull gods. No, that's the image of Baal, straight out of the land of idolatry called Egypt. And what the presence of God, known as the daughter of Zion, was actually trying to get them out of, to bring them into a greater glory. Now, according to what's going on now, we know that that is promised, but it's promised to a select few according to Romans 11. So now we're going to get into the dreams, because that's what this is all. Sorry if it's wobbling. Because that's where I was with dreams and visions. I actually began in the Watcher's Decree in the book of Daniel. So that was in Daniel 4. So this is the interpretation, Your Majesty, and this is the decree the Most High has issued against my Lord the King. So I get into that a little bit too. But the point is when you look up the word watchers here, okay? Where's the word watcher? I'll just give you, sorry, it's just out of balance there. So here's a watcher. Okay, so we'll go up and find the watchers, if I can find it. And this is also where we pick up the term, the one time that the Lord is referred to as Mar, which is a revealer of truth, which actually takes us back to Naomi. She says, call me not Naomi, call me Mara, bitterness, right? Because there the Lord dealt treacherously, or not treacherously, there the Lord has dealt bitterly with me. So what was that all about? Okay, I ain't finding watchers. Okay, if I could just find it one time. It must have been underneath that verse that I just read last. Oh, come on. Well, that was the place where they appeared. Let me see. Let me go back here. Right there. Daniel 4:17. I'll do it that way. The decision is announced by messengers, the holy ones, declare the verdict, so that the living may know that the Most High is sovereign. She over all kingdoms of the earth and gives them to anyone she wishes and sets over them the lowliest of people. Who's the lowliest of people today? Well, Jacob is right now, isn't he? Who's she going to set up? Who's the scepter and crown in authority by the Almighty, the Most High, going to set up as the king? Well, right now, it does so look like Jacob. It does not look like the Christians are going to be set up because they're an idol worship. That's what we daughters are awake to show you and teach you. So the sentence is by the decree of the watchers, the decision by the word of the holy ones, by us. We're the holy ones. To the end that the living may know that the Most High wisdom rules the kingdom of men, and she gives it to whom she will, and she sets over it the lowliest of men. Now, we said there was no man right now crowned. There is no man crowned right now, because they have rejected the scepter and the crown. Jacob looks like he's making a play for it, in my opinion. And according to this, the Most High is sovereign. She is going to set him up as the king. And he has, at point right now, seems to be the lowliest. Next to the women, of course. There's a whole nother tier of low, and they're female, of course. And they're the ones determining who the kingdom goes to. It's no king that determines this. That's why Mother crowns him in the day of his espousal. She's the Most High. She will determine. So when we look the word watcher up, and this video is longer than what I intended it to be, watch what it says. That word is 5894. Watchers, watch what it says. That's all it takes us. Or wakeful one. Is a noun masculine? Oh no, they're asleep. Jacob might be waking up now. And if he makes the correct moves, he's going to be the king. Real king. Not the fake king that's coming, Jesus, that all the saints are waiting for, so-called saints. They're not saints. Satan is clever. He's a good, real good deceiver. Satan, another name for the first Adam, who accused her. So waking or wakeful one, angel, yep, the angel of God's presence identified in these women. Yeah. Okay. So this is how I got to dreams. All right, because I've had dreams. All right, as has many of you who watches my videos. And so I was trying to figure out the legitimacy of my dreams and how I could ascertain if they were legitimate or if they were something completely fabricated by myself, or if there truly is a spirit residing within me, waking up, trying to show me who I am in God. And that's the conclusion that I've actually come from based on a few things that I do know. So, I asked this question: is there a difference between dreams and visions? This is what I got. Dreams are drifts of the imagination occurring during sleep. So that's why I honestly think we get so many of the so-called saints or Christians coming on saying, he said, he told me in a dream. He told me, he. It's always he, regardless. God is he, God, because, they've been taught the lie and they can't open their ears or their eyes. They have not been elected. You will realize you are elected the moment you are awake to the truth. You will realize that. Unfortunately, most will remain asleep according to the passage in Romans 11. It is a select group. Though, if the first fruits, which is what you are, is holy, understands this truth, then by extension, the body will also become holy. We get that in Romans 9 or 10. So it says, if the first fruits is holy, then the lump is also holy. I think that if the branch. So we know that the roots of this tree was holy in the beginning. She was cast down and denied her rightful place by the men, Balak, who were in idol worship of self. They wanted themselves idolized, who then sent their women in, who were largely called the harlot spirit, to poison the men inside the nation of Israel, so that the men would over time cast off their own scepter and crown, which was identified as the right hand of God, Mother. So she says, I give it to whom I please, who I choose. That's my power. So dreams are a drift of the imagination according to during sleep. It's a drift of your imagination. So they've been taught a male God, he's God. And we're going to have dreams and visions and da-da-da-da-da. And I can say this, fair play. No, you can't. God also says in Jeremiah 23, for what is dreams, she calls chaff, to the truth, my word, which will come, in fact, through truthful visions. So what's visions? Judy, she's been having a lot of these. Visions can come to us at any time of day or night, while we are awake and alert. So you see, dreams is sleep. So these saints who's going, he, right there is telling you they're asleep. They have not awoke. They have not awakened. They're asleep. When you're saying he, God, you are without excuse not to understand my Godhead and manifest it in what I created. It says for your eyes. It does not say for the Pharisee who wrote the following verse about Jesus and how he's all everything. No, it says for your eyes to bear witness to this creation. Who is the potter? You're not going to say man is. Mother's the potter. That takes us to the verse in Isaiah 29. You told the potter, and synonymous with potter is maker and creator, that she had no power over her own creation, what she makes. And without children, there is no creation. You get it? So the Pharisees write, Jesus, but you're without excuse. It's your eyeballs that is to bear witness to the truth of the Godhead. That's male and female. That's not male. That's the bull crap lie. So dreams, again, are like scattered seeds. God says, I'll scatter you, right? While visions are meticulously crafted and nurtured. How are they meticulously crafted and nurtured? By the Spirit that resides within us, waking up. It's speaking to self. It's self almost speaking to self. But it is the Spirit placed upon us. In an angelical sense, when we bring in these angels, if you want to bring in angels, but the Old Testament speaks over and over that the angel of the presence of God, the angel of the presence of God. So she was the representation of the Most High, which is wisdom, who is the sovereign and ruler over the kingdom. Visions, again, reveals God's plans and the spiritual realm. So I had to ask myself, did I have dreams or did I have vision? And I also got this pulled up. Let me see if I can find it. That's where we really want to take off. So I had also asked this, can a vision also appear as a dream? And then I really got going on understanding that indeed it was visions in the form of a dream that I had had. And people will go, well, no, now you're getting really off track. No, because there's a verse that validates that, an absolute verse. Visions are far different from dreams, although sometimes there may be a fine line between them. Only very intuitive people can experience visions. The main difference between dreams and visions is that the person seeing visions is completely aware about their thoughts, but the dreams can be predictive and the person is not awake. Now, I was completely aware. That's the ironic thing. I was completely aware in my dreams. It was like I was separate, standing there watching the whole thing playing out. And these dreams, I absolutely remember when I woke up, and it was just like I was standing there watching the whole. So part of me was awake in the dream, right? And you'll go, well, no, yeah, because there's a verse that absolutely states that it's absolutely possible. Right here, Song of Songs. Like you didn't know that. So what does the verse say? It says, I'm asleep, but my heart waketh. So what does it say? I'll write the truth on your heart. You're going to know it in your spirit, and you're going to be awake even in these sleeping dreams, right? It is a voice of my beloved that knocketh, saying, open to me, my sister. My sister is a term of equality, right? He uses this term, my sister, to say we are equal. That's what he's saying there. My sister, my love, my dove, the Holy Spirit, my undefiled. She is the only one of her mother. We get that in Song 6:9. We've looked at this multiple times. She is the undefiled and pure one of her mother, and her mother chooses her. And she's the one that she chooses to crown the king, which in this point seems to be Jacob at this point. Jesus is no king. Jesus is Baal, the king of Babylon. So I sleep, but my heart waketh. It is the voice of my beloved that knocketh, saying, open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my undefiled. For my head is filled with dew, and my locks with the drops of the night. Now that took me to the animal, the beast, that Nebuchadnezzar became when he got cut away from his own kingdom. He says it was his, and the reason why he got cut away from it was because he became a beast to her, saying, look at everything that I myself have made, me, myself, and I. He. Oh. You did you? She says, you forget my power. I'm the one that crowns the king, not you. So she cuts him away. So he's out, my locks with the drops of the night. Because dew, now we also get another separate representation of the dew of the dawn, the dew of the morning, in Deuteronomy 32. So that it means the water from God, the dew there. All right. Is what we studied it again. Multiple videos on Ruth Abby. We've studied most of these passages. We've studied Shiloh. We've studied all of that stuff on Ruth Abby in videos years and years ago, and we kept bringing it up. So it did get rehashed multiple times. We've just kind of tried to move on from those studies because I can't stay in there for the next 20 years. I just can't. And it's slow. People are very slow to catch on. They're very slow to catch on to these things. And I realize that they're only going to catch on when they are understanding that they truly are elected in the spirit by God through the election of grace. And that's the feminine again. So, for my head is filled with dew and my locks with the drops of the night. So when I studied Nebuchadnezzar, when he got cut away, his hair filled with the dew of the night. His hair, it was a symbol of being an animal, like an animal under all the same elements of an animal. So we also get the beloved here because her beloved became an animal. Yeah, he did. Adam himself has to be reborn. He has to be remade, but he has to be reshaped through the Holy Spirit, which is she. And there's going to come out a king that she's going to crown because he's going to rule through her. You understand what's going on. This is the larger picture that most are still asleep to or too boastful and proud to hear. And so that's the wicket that we just read in the very beginning of this video, that indeed she's going to have to cut away. And that will be through Jacob doing it. Jacob's going to do it. She's going to do it. We work as one unit. Though we're separate individuals in our own rightful capacities, in our own rights that come from God. Nobody has a right to take that from you. But the first Adam, in his boastful, arrogant pride, accused her and then wrote a book about it. And she says that in the book of Job. Oh, that my accuser, and the word is man, Adam, had written his accusations in a book, I would wear it like a crown upon my head. She wore it, apparently, like a harlot for a while upon her head. I may have that wrong. And then she says, I will take it in the end, and I will exonerate myself. And he's going to do the same thing. He's going to redeem himself. Not through the idol of Jesus saying, I'm your head woman, you must do whatever I have told you to do, and I'm the one that writes the law. It was not his law, it was her law that was to rule the land. Wrong. Wrong idol. Wrong image. It's an idol. Yeah. And you are to have no idol, neither male nor female. So, what does it say here in Song of Songs? So the point is, she says, I'm asleep, but my heart waketh. The Lord will awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on wine, an admixture of religious lies and laws. Man can't birth you through that admixture. It is only the presence of God on earth, identified as the wise women that came out of the nation of Israel, denied their rightful place of authority, that can birth the children out through. And it is through her water and her blood that does that. No man can do it. You can put all of that on your Jesus idol all you want. You're just proving that you're asleep. So, what does it say here? Let me see here. If I can find it. So we're coming up on done. Okay, so that wasn't it. We will get there. No, I think we will. Let me see. What am I looking for? Where is it? I'm just trying to figure out what I'm looking for. Is that it? Let me see if that's the commentary pulled up, because it's in a commentary. Yes. Yes, right here. Okay, so this is the commentary that appears under Daniel 4:17, if you want to go pull that up on whatever site you use. I use Bible Hub, but there's multiple sites that you can use. So it's actually under the Burns notes on the Bible. This is where we pick up what dreams are. And so this was a big discussion on the Watcher and the Holy One. Most of them come to the conclusion that they are separate entities. I come to the fact that I believe that they are actually one and the same. I actually came up with, so according to the Holy One's request, the Watcher makes a decree. So is that the physical and then the spiritual? That's a question that I asked as well. Galatians 3:19, come in my line of sight. The law, ... was ordained by angels. Who was the angel in the Old Testament? The presence of God on earth. That was her name. She's also this Camp Mahanaim that Jacob wrestled with, stole her birthright. She ends up hamstringing him. That's right. And it happened in the dream plane. So we're getting it all around. But the thing is Jacob wakes up from this supposed dream where he actually wrestled with the angel of the presence, which was she, Israel. That was her name. He steals her birthright. She ends up handing her name over to him, Israel. That's right. That's why Jacob has had all the trouble he's got. He stole her name. And then she hamstrings him in the dream plane, and then he wakes up with a limp. Wow. How convoluted is that? But we get that the law was ordained by angels. You get who that was in the Old Testament. She that was ordained who sat between the cherubim, which was daughter Zion. And we get men like Sennacherib coming against her. We get men like King Solomon. And the list, of course, goes on and on and on. Who else? Adam, of course, first Adam accused her. So he could take her throne, her right to write the law. This angel of the presence that they struck on the heel caused her to fall. They did it intentionally. So what does it say here? See if I can get this. In the early part of the dream, the vision is that of a tree. So this is Daniel 4:15, 16. We have an illustration of what often occurs in dreams. There's singular incongruity. In the early part of the dream, the vision is that of a tree, and the idea is consistently carried out for a considerable part of it. The height of the tree, the branches, the leaves, the fruit, the shade, the stump. Then suddenly there is a change to something that is living and human. His wings got cut off in allegory as this kingdom that gets shown in multiple of animals. And so it's a lion and he had wings, and then all of a sudden his wings, which is his spirit, gets cut away from him because he cuts them away, he don't want her. Wings are a symbol of heavenly authority, and then he's forced to stand and speak like a man. You get what's going on here. So the height of the tree, the branch, the leaves, the fruit, the shade, the stump, then suddenly there is a change to something that is living and human. That's man. The change of the heart to that of a beast. That's man when he rejected her rule and authority. That being exposed to the dew of heaven, the portion with the beasts of the earth, etc., such changes and incongruities, as everyone knows, are common in dreams. So what are they saying about dreams? So this is what Shakespeare wrote, and they have that this right here. It says, "True, I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain." We're not talking about visions, right? We're making a separation between visions because your heart is awake now and has come away from idle worship, idle brain worship, which is asleep. They're asleep. They're proving who they are by not waking up, right? They're not the elected. We're the elected because we have chose to awaken and listen to the Spirit that possibly has been with us from the very beginning. It just has been asleep in us. So which are the children of an idle brain? Begot of nothing but vain fantasies. Yeah, they're still asleep. They're asleep in their vain fantasies, or the harlot's romance, which is as thin of substance as the air and more inconstant than the wind, who woos even now the frozen bosom of the north. So we get Sleeping Beauty. We also get Baal of the north. That was a god. Oh my gosh, you should go in on Wikipedia. Oh, maybe I'll leave that link here. Baal of the north. Was that what he was called? We did a video on that anyway. Because it links to the Sleeping Beauty. And it may be because she was struck on the heel. She became poisoned. She goes to sleep in the religious line law. What, has Israel stumbled that she should fall? No. She seeketh to obtain that which she has lost, which was her children. And so Mother says, I place this upon you. You will restore my house back to me, right? It's all interconnected. It is. And so she says, I'll wear that accusation on my head and I will use it to exonerate myself. That's the little book of truth that you find the angel, supposedly, which is the angel of God's presence, standing on land and sea in Revelation 10, is it? Or 12. She's there somewhere. And she's holding a little book sealed up. And so the little book actually represents her authority back in play, actually her title deed to the earth. That's what it represents. Hers. It's hers. She's a sovereign. And she's also identified as a seventh trumpet. Now, a trumpet just means a voice speaking. That's what it means. So if you're speaking the truth, then you're a trumpet. If you're speaking a lie, then you're speaking for Satan's kingdom. You're not speaking for God's kingdom. And we've identified over and over that the angel of the presence is the camp of Mahanaim, God's camp that Jacob wrestled with. He also called them Mahanaim. We also see this double camp with the Shulamite, who says the false light has shone upon me, made me black. In the spirit, she goes into deep mourning, which is also the process of going to sleep. So it's all interconnected. So you see what it says about the dream here, right? So it's important that we highlight those that are awake, and you're awake through your heart, speaking the truth to you, which is also, we know the mind, the soul, the spirit, the heart are all part of the spirit. So I put spirit there, but the soul, the heart, and the mind are all considered your spiritual aspects and components. And so when the heart wakens, then your dreams, though you may be asleep in the dream, according to what the Shulamite says here, she was still awake, right? Her heart was awake, right? I was asleep, but my heart was awake. That's how we ascertain the greater truth. The Spirit has always been here with us. She just has to awaken. And so the Lord will awaken like a warrior that's been drunk on wine. So her number there is 136, daughter Zion's number, that's identified as the dove that was burned to an ash heap in Psalm 68. Now, is that everything? I think that should be enough. I did not expect a video this long. I think that's everything I want to say. Yeah, there we go. We're well over an hour now. Well, not well over. I still didn't expect it to be this long. Anyway, thanks for watching. I got this thing. I've had this hanging here for years. Just adds a splash of color in my living room. Goes with my color scheme of blue and gold curtains, which I'm soon thinking of changing out to another color scheme. Anyway, that's everything. I thank you for being here, watching. I took a shower not that long ago, and my hair never dried. And when it did dry this time, it just dried all flat because it is growing out. My hair wouldn't grow. I know you don't want to hear this. And then I started using rosemary oil on it. And then it just started growing because for a while there, my hair used to be way long when I was young. And anyway, after I had my son, my hair started clipping off, breaking off. And I just, no matter what I did, I could not get it to grow. So for years, it just has not grown. And then I started using rosemary oil on it. And I was like, oh, that ain't going to work. And then all of a sudden, it started growing. So if my hair looks longer to you, that's why. People used to think I cut it. And I was like, no, I've never cut my hair. I've never laid scissors to my hair when I was younger. But as I got older, I never touched my hair. Certainly for the length of time I've been making videos, I have never cut my hair. It would just keep breaking off and breaking off. And now, since using rosemary oil, it's actually growing. Now I'm actually thinking I might cut it. I'm kidding. I'll probably I tend to braid it a lot, is what I do when I'm working around the house, or just I'll roll it up and put it in some kind of ball at the back of my head, which I'll say also that can cause breaking of your hair. So anyway, sorry to talk about hair. But that's why it's growing. And like I said, it just didn't dry very well, because normally I do braid it when it's drying too, but I knew I was going to make a video, so I had to take it out. So anyway, that's a video on dreams and visions, and a slight of a little bit of a break in our study on Sinai and the Lord that was there, that was shoved off of her mountain of authority. Anyway, that's the video for today. I thank you for watching. I pray you all have a lovely day. I pray you're blessed with an abundance of truth. Thank you to all my subscribers and watchers. I really do appreciate you being here watching and being awake to this truth. It doesn't happen without you. It doesn't. And I thank you so much, and have a nice day.